Jerry Lee Lewis, also known as the Killer, was an early pioneer of rock and roll music and rock and roll lifestyle. His hits in the 50s, such as Great Balls of Fire and Whole Lot of Shakin' Going On, brought him nationwide recognition, and Lewis is still remembered today for his impact on American music.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, but what a thrill. Goodness and gracious, great balls of fire.
Jerry Lee Lewis was born to the poor family of Elmo and Mamie Lewis in Faraday, Louisiana on September the 29th, 1935. In his early life, Lewis was a terrible student and eventually dropped out of high school after bringing home a report card of straight Fs. But he could work miracles on the piano at his church, and his parents mortgaged the house to buy a piano when Lewis was 10. Instead of using his piano for church, Lewis, who was influenced by the radio and the black juke joint across the tracks, soon turned the piano into a rock and roll instrument. When he was 14, Jerry Lee Lewis gave his first public performance at a local Ford dealership. At 15, he was performing professionally, drinking heavily, and admiring the music of B.B. King, who sometimes performed at the juke joint where Lewis worked. When Lewis was 16, he married Dorothy Barton, and at 17, before his first divorce was finalized, he took a second wife, Jane Mitchum. Lewis's mother then enrolled him in Southwest Bible Institute in Waxahachie, Texas, hoping to discourage Lewis's enthusiasm for the devil's music. But Lewis daringly played a boogie-woogie rendition of My God is Real at a church assembly, and that rendition got him expelled after only 3 months. For the next few years, he played with makeshift bands, performed solo, and passed the hat for money, augmenting his income when necessary by selling vacuum cleaners and sewing machines. At 21, in 1956, Lewis made his first recordings at Sun Records. His song Crazy Arms sold 300,000 copies in the South, but it was his 1957 hit Whole Lot of Shakin' Going On that gained Lewis his fame. However, his career as a rock and roller took a tumble when the press discovered that he'd married his 13-year-old cousin in December of 1957. Again, he had remarried before he was legally divorced, but this time, since he was famous, it became a huge scandal. Condemned as a pervert, radio stations refused to play his music, bookings were canceled, and his career was thought to be finished. He went several years without any more big hits, but his live shows at state fairs and dive bars were so wildly energetic, Lewis still made enough money to live luxuriously, drink a whole lot of whiskey, and do plenty of drugs. After several years, Lewis drifted toward country and western music, and through the late 60s and 70s, he regularly topped the country western charts. Some of his number one country hits included Would You Take Another Chance on Me, Me and Bobby McGee, and Think About It, Darlin'. Lewis continued with his musical career, winning many awards with his songs in rock and roll, blues, and country. In 1989, he became the first performer inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When Jerry Lee Lewis was asked later in life if he was still playing the devil's music, Lewis replied, "Yes, I am. But you know, it's strange. The same music that they kicked me out of school for is the same kind of music they play in their churches today. The difference is, I know I'm playing for the devil, and they don't."